Today we're going to learn about proportions in the face. So we're going to practice drawing a face, not any one particular face, but just kind of practicing drawing all the different features in a face so that we can learn how big to make different facial features. Proportion is a fancy word for how big things are compared to each other. So the size of your eyes or your nose or your mouth in comparison to each other. So we're going to start by warming up. We want to draw an oval. So I sort of start by doing an air drawing. Then when I feel comfortable, I'm going to put down my pencil and make an oval that is pretty big on the paper. And then what I want to do, kind of move this over a little bit so it's more centered. Then I'm going to divide up my oval in half. So this looks like it's about half. I want it to be equal from the top to the bottom. I can test it. Is this the same as this? That's about right. So I'm going to leave that there. I want to draw nice and light so I can erase these lines later. And then on the center line, we normally think of the eyes being higher up in the head, but they actually live right on this line, right in the middle of our head. So this is from our eyes to the very top of our hair. This is not the top of our forehead, this is the top of our hair and our chin. So the next thing I'm going to do is figure out how big my eyes are. So eyes are usually about 5, you could fit about 5 eyes across your face. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to try to draw them equally, and then if I need to, I'm going to erase and adjust them. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I ran out of a little bit of room. 5. So I'm going to sort of make this one a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller, kind of adjust them a little bit, and erase. All right. So basically there is the distance of one eye between our eyes. These are the eyes that we're going to keep. And then you could fit one eye between your eye and the side of your face. So we're going to erase the eyes that we don't need. We don't need this one, or this one. So we're going to go back in and erase the eyes that we don't need. And we can erase that line that goes across the center as well. All right, so now we have these general shapes of where our eyes are going to be. The next thing we're going to do, we'll come back to the eyes and add some detail later, but about halfway between the eyes and the chin, so a quarter of the way up the face, we're going to make a little line right here. That is going to be the bottom of our nose. We can figure out how wide our nose is by making a little guideline that kind of comes down from the center of our eyes. You can check this yourself by following the center of your eye, kind of seeing that it goes down. This is how wide our nose will be. We're going to erase these lines once we've drawn our nose, but these are our guidelines for where the nose will be. So just above this line down here, I'm going to make a short U that doesn't quite touch the dotted line on either side. This is one way to make a nose. I'm then going to add 2 little upside down U's to the edge of my U. And then I'm going to make little parentheses just on the outside. That will be the outer edge of my nostril. So this is one way to make a nose. Other versions of a nose that you could do might be something that's more pointy. Maybe a nose that's a little bit flatter at the bottom with tiny nostrils. You'd have to kind of look in the mirror and see what your nose is like. Maybe you have bigger nostrils, so you want to make those little upside down U's bigger. There's so many different kinds of noses. This is just one way to draw noses. All right, so the next step, we're going to make sure we go back and erase these guidelines. So now we have the bottom of our nose, and we'll make the rest of our nose later once we make our eyebrows. We'll come back to that. So then the next step, we're going to measure halfway between the bottom of the nose and the chin. We're going to make a little line right here. Then we're going to bring another guideline down from the middle of our eye, straight down. And we are going to then draw a line across. You could kind of make it come up a little bit on the ends too. So if I want to make my mouth a little bit smiley, I can have the ends come up, or just a smirk. And when we go to draw our self-portraits, we're going to want to make sure we add more of an expression. We're just sort of practicing drawing the features today. And we'll make sure we look at an expression so we can show our emotions in our self-portrait. So this is a line, if you measure, the very outer edge of your mouth does line up with the center of your eye or your pupil. Everybody's face is a little different, so your mouth might be a little wider or a little smaller than this, but in general, our eyes line up in this way with the edge of our mouth. Then one way to draw a lip is to draw a tiny short U just above that middle line, and then attach that to the outer edge with like a little slope. That's our top lip. To make our bottom lip, we can make a little dash along the bottom and then bring that up to meet the corners. Most people have like a little dimple or a little crease on the side of their mouth from our mouths opening and closing. So that's one way to make a mouth. Some other versions of mouths, just like for noses, there's lots of different versions. Some people, if you look, even though they're not sad or unhappy, their mouth might turn down a little bit. So I could draw my line a little frowny, and then have the top and bottom lip. Maybe make that little crease. I could draw it turned up a little bit more. Maybe I make more of a sharp V for the top. Maybe this person has more of a thicker bottom lip. Some people might have a bigger top lip and a very small bottom lip. There's so many different variations, just like all of us have different features. Okay? So then we're gonna come back and erase the guidelines that we made from our eye to line up our mouth. The next thing we want to do is add some details to our eyes. So for our eye, we want to, on the inside, closest to the nose, we're going to add a little corner, little droplet, like a little tear duct. Almost looks like a little tear coming down. Our tear ducts aren't just for when we cry, it's also for keeping our eyes wet so they don't dry out. We're going to add a little tear duct there, and then we're also going to add a pupil. A pupil is a sort of black dot in the center. You don't want it huge, you don't want it super small. It's like the top of a nail. Maybe the size of the top of a nail or something. And then we're going to draw the iris. The iris almost touches the top and the bottom of my eye. Same thing over here. Almost touches the top and the bottom of my eye. Okay, so the iris is big enough, it fills the whole eye pretty much. The next step, what you want to do is you want to go from the tear duct and then make a little lid that kind of cuts across the eyelid. Make another little lid over here that cuts across the eyelid. If you look at people or if you look in the mirror, you'll notice that we normally don't see the whole iris because then it would look like we were really surprised all the time. And you can draw that top lid again. But that eyelid hides that part of the eye, so we want to make sure we erase the part that we're covering. We can redraw that eyelid. Okay. The next step, what you want to do is maybe add a little bit of a shine and some color to our iris. So one way to do that is, you know, sort of mark out a little circle. It's good to have it, if you pick having it on the right side of your iris over here, you want it to be on the right side of your iris over there, because then it looks like the light is coming from here. Light is coming from the same direction. Then you can go in and you can add some color to your iris, and you just want to avoid adding color to the little circle that you drew. And if you do that, then it'll look like the light is shining on your eye. You can also add some texture, maybe some of those streaks that go out from your pupil. Again, that's different for everybody, if you can see it or not. And if you have very dark brown eyes or almost black eyes for your iris, you're gonna wanna make this even darker. Okay? If you have very light eyes, then you would add color lightly, or if you're just using pencil, you just add very light pencil. And maybe go over the iris some more. All right, so once you've added some eye color and left that little shine right there, then you're gonna go in and make your eyelashes. So eyelashes are on this bottom lid, not the top lid, the bottom lid, and they start at the center of your eye and they fan outwards. Then on this side, they go from the center and fan outwards like this. So they go opposite on either side, like this.